Today's lesson, let me back up. My name is Brother Jared, and I'm a teacher at the Interceding Bible study class, where our own interpretation is expressly prohibited, and we build upon line, subject upon subject, in order to teach the Bible. Reading for me today is my esteemed brother and colleague, Brother Malachi. All right, so for today's lesson, I'm going to focus in a different area. A lot of times we focus on, just a lot of different prophecies and whatnot. But actually, I want to focus on a particular group of people. And this people is a group of people that's very near and dear to us, that they are the women of righteousness. The name of today's lesson is the women of righteousness from beginning to end. The women, because we always talk about the men, right? It's time to focus on what the Bible calls a lesser vessel, but that lesser vessel does not mean of lesser importance or of lesser value. It just means that she has a different occupation. But the women of righteousness is today's lesson, beginning to end. And we're going to get today's lesson started in Genesis chapter 2. In Genesis chapter 2. And I don't want to start it from the same aspect of everyone likes to go and jump on Eve and go from there. See, today's lesson, we are not going to focus on all the failures of that some women have had. We're going to focus on the high mark. That's some of the examples that were set by some righteous women in the Bible. Okay? So let's go to Genesis chapter 2. And we're going to pick this up at verse 18. There's a lot of scriptures, so I'm going to have to go a little bit fast, but if you can't keep up, just catch it when it's online, or we'll handle this in Q&A, so you make sure you have every single scripture. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 18, when you get there, go ahead and read.
And the Lord God said, "It is not good that man should be alone."
Right, so this was by his own mouth. He said it's not good that man should be by himself. Go ahead.
"I will make him and help meet for him."
I'm going to make him a help that's meet or that's worthy for him. But now, when people read this, they think of just the woman. But they don't realize that when you have a man and a woman, now you have the potential to have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. So the man really isn't alone because he's equipped the man with a particular woman that is able to bring forth more life. Go ahead. Actually, that's in the 18?
Yes.
Perfect. We're going to jump. Let's go ahead and jump down to verse 21. If you get there, go ahead and read.
"And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept.
Right.
And he took one of his ribs.
Right now. We're going to hit two things while we're here. He took one of his ribs. Go ahead.
And closed up the flesh instead.
Go ahead.
And the rib.
And the rib, we're talking singular, right? Go ahead.
Which the Lord God had taken from man.
Right.
Made he a woman.
He made a woman. Go ahead.
And brought her unto the man.
Right. Go ahead. So he's the one that brought the meat up about. So she was made from the rib, but in other words, she is still composed of the same dirt that Adam was composed of. This isn't a separate kind of flesh. She is a part of him in this example. Go ahead.
And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bone,
right,
and flesh of my flesh.
Right. She
shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man."
So Adam said she shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. Go ahead.
"Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother,
right, and
shall cleave unto his wife."
Right. Now that's the thing. Now Adam is saying this, but Adam doesn't have a physical father or a physical mother. Eve does not have, which her name hasn't been brought about yet, does not have a physical father or a physical mother. He's saying that to his descendants. For all the descendants that come from Adam and Eve, or Noah, you can go all the way down, that you shall cleave unto your wife, but you have to depart from your mother and your father. In other words, you have to be self-sufficient as a man. Go ahead. That's why it says cleave to his wife. Go ahead.
"And they shall be one flesh."
Right. Go ahead.
"And they were both naked, the man and his wife,
right,
and were not ashamed."
Okay, let's go to Genesis chapter 5 real quick. Let's look at this a little bit more. See, this is the introductory scripture because, like I said, the name of the lesson is Women of Righteousness, beginning to end. We have to hit the beginning. We have to know where a woman came from. Because there's some Hebrews out there saying that the woman is, the supreme being. She's the one that gives forth life to the universe and all this other stuff. No, she was a created individual just like the man was. But she was created from man. Genesis chapter 5 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
"This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man. In the likeness of God made he him."
Right, so that part right there, that verse 1, that God created man, that's talking about mankind, because he's going to break down all the people who are a part of mankind. Hit verse 2.
Male and female created he them.
Right.
And blessed them.
Right.
And called their name Adam.
And called their name Adam, because that would have been her name before she was taken out. Go ahead.
In the day when they were created.
Right, go ahead.
And Adam lived 130 years.
Right. That's all I want right now. I want to show where she came from. Yet again, we have another portion of the Bible that's letting you know that she came from man. But let's jump all the way to 1 Corinthians 11. Because we understand what happened in the Garden of Eden. I don't need to reiterate the entire story. That when she took some bad conversation from Satan the devil, turned around, gave it to her husband, he gave the conversation, you know how they say food for thought? And then turned around and, how can I say, now they're starting to hide from God. But they ended up eating from the wrong tree. That means they were listening to the wrong conversation, to the wrong doctrine. They were listening to Satan the devil. However, there is an order in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. We're going to pick this up at verse 1 that the Lord has instituted, and Paul's going to reiterate, and this is a protective mechanism, not only to protect the women, but to also protect the men and the entire creation. 1 Corinthians 11, when you get there, pick up at verse 1.
Be ye followers of me,
right?
Even as I also am of Christ.
Right, go ahead.
Now I praise you, brethren,
right,
that ye remember me in all things,
right,
and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you.
Exactly. Keep it orderly. Keep going.
But I would have you know.
I'm going to drop some knowledge on y'all. Go ahead.
That the head of every man is Christ.
So, right. Man isn't just by himself. The male has a head. His head is Christ. Go ahead.
And the head of the woman is the man.
And the head of the woman is the man. Go ahead.
And the head of Christ is God.
And the head of Christ is God. He's showing the orders going from God the Father to Jesus Christ to the man to the woman. Now, it doesn't matter where you are on that totem pole. It just matters about whether or not you are staying in line. Go ahead and hit, that's the end of verse 3? Yeah. Okay, go ahead and hit verse 5. But I want to show something why the order is so important. Hit verse 5.
But every woman that prayed or prophesied,
yep,
with her head uncovered.
Now, we can hit the men that have their heads covered or uncovered, but we're going to focus on the women right here. It says, but every woman that is praying or prophesying with her head uncovered, go ahead.
Dishonoreth her head.
Go ahead.
But that is even all one as if she were shaved.
Right, in other words, we can say that's not a good look. It's just like if you had a shave your head, but even though that's a trend going on today, but he's saying that that's not a good look. Hit verse 6.
For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered.
Right, and this is talking about here. I'll show you that. Hit verse 7.
For a man indeed ought not to cover his head.
Right.
For as much as he is the image and glory of God.
Right, he is the image and glory of God because God is a male, but still, both are made in his image, but go ahead.
But the woman is the glory of the man.
But the woman is the glory of the man. That's why when you understand the dream that Joseph had about the sun and the moon, Jacob understood that the sun represented him and the moon represented the mother of Joseph. So, but he said, shall I and thy mother bow down unto thee? But he was understanding that this was about the sun gives forth glory to the moon. The moon does not shine on its own. The only light that the moon has is the glory that it retains from the sun. So he understands that. So there's two different glories here, but let's go ahead and jump down to verse 13. I'm sorry, verse 10. Verse 10. Verse 10.
For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head.
Now, for this cause ought the woman to have what on her head?
Power.
Power. This is not just a scarf we're asking people to wear. This is about putting power on your head. But go ahead.
Because of the angels.
Because of the angels. Now, what happened with Eve? She was dealing with a fallen angel. And now she's getting power or protection to show I'm not falling out of line with the order. So the woman is going to turn around and try to teach Adam some doctrine that came from Satan. Adam is going to teach the right doctrine to Eve that came from God. So she's getting back in order. Have power on your head because of the angels. I'll show you some more on that, but we're going to wait till we get there. Go ahead, keep going.
Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman.
I'm sorry, hit verse 13.
Judging yourselves,
right?
Is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered?
Right, so he's going to give an example. Ask yourself, is this a good look or comely to pray unto God uncovered as a woman, he's saying? Go ahead.
Doeth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him?
So now he's referencing to just regular nature. Like, you see a lot of guys walking around with longer hair. It's not saying it's a sin. He's just saying judging yourself about natural things, nature. Go ahead.
But if a woman have long hair,
but if a woman got some long hair, go ahead.
It is a glory to her.
It's a glory to her. Go ahead.
For her hair is given her for a cover.
Right, he's saying that this is almost like an example of a covering, but that's not the covering. The hair is not the covering. He said this is like an example. When you see a sister with long hair, you're like, man, that looks nice. But go ahead.
But if any man seem to be contentious,
but if anyone has a problem with this, go ahead.
We have no such custom.
We have no such custom. Go ahead.
Neither the churches of God.
Right. There's no custom that says that that a man can't have long hair. This is not dealing with hair. He's just saying, look, if someone's getting contentious, we don't have no custom. This is just referencing about going and doing something purposeful to cover your head, not just letting something grow and you aren't making any conscious decisions to do such. But when you're doing this, you're choosing to put power on your head in this example. But let's keep going. Let's go to Judges 13. And let's just see an example of a woman that went and got her real covering. Because that is an example of her protection. She goes to deal with her head in this example. Let's go to Judges 13 and pick up at verse 2. Judges 13 and verse 2. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Now Joshua was old and stricken in years.
No, is that Judges 13? Okay, no problem. Judges 13. Because you have power over your head because of the angels. But we're going to take this, look at a quick example. Verse 2, go ahead and read.
And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years.
Go ahead.
And there was a certain man of Zorah,
right,
of the family of the Danites,
right,
whose name was Manoah.
Go ahead.
And his wife was barren and bare not.
So she couldn't have any children, but keep going.
And the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman.
So she appeared unto just the woman, not the man, right? Go ahead.
And said unto her, Behold now, thou art barren,
right,
and bearest not,
right.
But thou shalt conceive and bear a son.
Yep, keep going.
Now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing.
So she's getting specific instructions from an angel because she's getting ready to have a miraculous birth. How can I say? She was barren, but now she's allowed to give birth. And now in this example, the angel's giving instruction not to eat anything unclean because that's what a woman of righteousness does. Go ahead.
For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, but the child shall be a Nazarite unto God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines.
Go ahead.
Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, A man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was.
I didn't ask him where he from. Go ahead.
Neither told he me his name.
He didn't tell me his name either. So what is she doing? She's going and telling her husband or her covering what happened regarding this angel. So she's going to get her real covering, and let's see what happens in verse 7. Go ahead.
But he said unto me, Behold, thou shalt conceive and bear a son. And now drink no wine nor strong drink. Neither eat any unclean thing. For the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb to the day of his death.
Okay, let's see what her covering or her husband does now in this situation. Hit verse 8.
Then Manoah entreated the Lord and said, O my Lord, let the man of God which thou didst send come again unto us and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born.
In other words, we have to get some information from the individual you sent. But when it says man of God, that doesn't mean that this is a flesh and blood individual. This is an angel. We are going to read it, but later on, this angel goes up in the fire when they offer up a sacrifice unto God and disappears in the flames. But we know that this isn't an actual physical man. So he's saying, hey, let this individual come back to teach us some more. Hit verse 9.
And God hearkened to the voice of Manoah. And the angel of God came again unto the woman as she sat in the field.
You saw that order? She went to her covering went to his covering, and then now God is sending the angel back to instruct both of them. Go ahead.
But Manoah, her husband, was not with her.
So yet again, the angel shows up, and her husband still isn't with her. But watch what happens. Go ahead.
And the woman made haste.
She did what?
Made haste.
Because this is a woman of righteousness. She's trying to do what's right. I'm going to hurry up and go get my covering. Go ahead.
And ran.
Right, and ran. Go ahead.
And showed her husband.
And
said to him, Behold, the man hath appeared unto me.
He's back. Go ahead.
That came unto me the other day.
Right, go ahead.
And Manoah arose and went after his wife. And came to the man. And said unto him, Art thou the man that spakest unto the woman?
Right.
And he said, I am.
He is. So we are going to go into that entire story. I just want to show her actions. She made haste to hurry to go get a covering because there's some individual that's dealing with her that she's like, you know what? I'm not going to try to deal with this myself. Let me go get some backup. Because that's what a real husband is doing. He's backing up his wife, or he's being a covering to his wife in this instance. So let's go ahead and go into the lesson now. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 20. 2 Samuel chapter 20, because when you understand that this righteousness that this woman has, there are going to be certain characteristics that she shows you that you should catch up on. There's going to be little things, little hints that you're going to start seeing over time that you should start asking yourself, whoa, this right here, you don't get this often. You don't see this often. Maybe I should take stock of what I have on my hands. Let's go ahead to go 2 Samuel chapter 20. And we're going to pick this up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read. You can see what I'm doing. All of these examples are not from the standpoint of someone that's married. I'm just showing the women operating in the knowledge of God by themselves. Some of them are married, some of them aren't. But both of them have been blessed by God. And it's just up to us to recognize it. Or up to us sisters that's in the class to have that mark or that goal that we're shooting for to be just like this person, that person, that person. You know, because a lot of brothers, you know, they want to be like David, right? I want to be like David, but when they're saying that, sometimes they're thinking of the wrong reasons, because he had these many wives and all this other stuff. No, you want to be like David because he was a man seeking after God's own heart. But let's go ahead. We're going to take a look at that example. Let's go ahead and hit verse 1. 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And there happened to be there a man of Belial.
A man of Belial, a wicked man. Go ahead.
Whose name was Sheba. The son of Bichri.
Bichri, yep.
A Benjamin.
So there was an evil brother named Sheba. Go ahead.
And he blew a trumpet. And said, We have no part in David.
Right, so, because David just came back. He got done dealing with the whole situation with Absalom. He comes back to Jerusalem, and now this brother's going to blow a trumpet saying, I ain't with him. You know, skip David. Go ahead.
Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tents, O Israel.
In verse 2.
So every man of Israel went up from after David.
That's all it took. This man being blessed by God, those who've been dealing with him for years, and all it took is one brother to blow a trumpet, and they said, okay, we're going to go follow him. Go ahead. I want y'all to catch this, because when you understand Israel in the Old Testament, you understand them today. Go ahead. He just blew a trumpet. Okay. Go ahead.
And followed Sheba, the son of Bichri.
They followed after him. Go ahead.
But the men of Judah.
Did what?
Clave unto their king. From Jordan even to Jerusalem.
From Jordan even to Jerusalem. Jump down to verse 6. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And David said to Abishai. Now shall Sheba, the son of Bichri.
Right. He says like, hey, this dude's about to be a problem. Now shall Sheba, the son of Bichri. Go ahead.
Do us more harm than did Absalom.
He's going to be a problem even bigger than Absalom was. Go ahead.
Take thou thy Lord's servant and pursue after him, lest he get him fenced cities and escape us.
So he's saying, like, we have to get after this guy. So it's like a hot pursuit. But hit verse 7.
And they went out after him Joab's men.
Right. Joab is the captain of David's army. Go ahead.
And the Cherethites. And the Pelethites, and all the mighty men, right? And they went out of Jerusalem, right, to pursue after Sheba, the son of Bichri.
So they over here chasing after me because they understand this guy's about to be a problem. So they get all their army together. But let's just jump down to verse 15. And on the way, Joab kills another guy. But so Joab's out for blood. But let's go ahead and jump down to verse 15. Go ahead.
And they came and besieged him in Abel of Beth-Maachah.
Yep.
And they cast up a bank against the city.
So they found the city where they had a corner. So they cast a bank against that city. Go ahead.
And it stood in the trench.
Right.
And all the people that were with Joab battered the wall to throw it down.
So they beat this wall down because they get ready to take the whole city down to get this one, how can I say, rebellious individual. Go ahead.
Then cried a wise woman out of the city.
Then cried a what?
A wise woman.
So this is a wise woman that's watching all this, right? That's why the Bible called her a wise woman. She's watching, she's observing, and she's going to speak when necessary. Go ahead.
Here, say, I pray you unto Joab.
So she said, hey, Joab, listen up. Go ahead.
Come near hither.
Come over here.
That I may speak with you.
Come speak with me for a moment. Go ahead.
And when he was come near unto her, the woman said, Art thou Joab? And he answered.
So that means she has wisdom, right? He didn't say his name, sure. Hey, ain't you Joab? Yeah, she got wisdom. Go ahead.
I am he. Then she said unto him, Hear the words of thine handmaid.
Listen up. Go ahead.
And he answered, I do hear.
I'm listening up. Go ahead.
Then she spake, saying, They were wont to speak in old time, saying, They shall surely ask counsel of Abel. And so they ended the match.
So in other words, she's saying, look, back in the day, they said if people wanted to get an answer, they would go to Abel, that's short for Abel, Malachi, that city. They would come to the city when they had a question or to inquire for something, and whenever they would go there, they would get the answer and it would end the matter. In other words, this is not a regular city. You can get knowledge here if you decide to come and get knowledge. Go ahead.
I am one of them that are peaceable and faithful in Israel.
And she's like, I'm one of the people that's helping the people out. Says, I'm one of them that are peaceable and faithful in Israel. Go ahead.
Thou seekest to destroy a city.
You're going to destroy a whole city. In other words, who's messy? You come to try to take down everything to get one person? Let me show you how it's done. Go ahead.
And a mother in Israel. Why wilt thou swallow up the inheritance of the Lord?
Go ahead, verse 20.
And Joab answered and said, Far be it from me that I should swallow up or destroy.
So he's like, no, I wasn't going to do all that. You know, he ain't really all these 100. But here, verse 21. That there's a reason why they battered down the wall. Here, verse 21.
The matter is not so. But a man of Mount Ephraim, Sheba the son of Richwood, by name, hath lifted up his hand against the king.
But yeah, so it's one brother I got a problem. Let me keep going.
Even against David. Deliver him only. And I will depart from the city.
Keep going.
And the woman said unto Joab.
So what she said to Joab?
Behold, his head shall be thrown to thee over the wall.
Say, you ain't even got to come in here. I'm going to handle this myself. His head's going to be thrown over to you on the wall. So you ain't got to come take down the whole city because this is a woman with wisdom. I'll help you out. Go ahead.
Then the woman went unto all the people in wisdom.
Now that means she was highly respected. She went to all the people of the city with her what? With her wisdom. Go ahead.
And they cut off the head of Sheba.
And they say, yep, that's wise. Let's say wise by getting rid of this one troublemaker. They cut his head off. Go ahead.
The son of Richwood. And cast it out to Joab. And he blew a trumpet.
Right.
And they retired from the city.
Right.
Every man to his tent. And Joab returned to Jerusalem unto the king.
So how many lies did she just save with her wisdom? A whole city. A whole city in Israel. Not to mention those that were come against the city, because usually some of them will die in the war. So she saved a bunch of lives by operating in wisdom. I say, I'll get rid of the one troublemaker. So she's operating in wisdom. Let's go to Numbers chapter 27. Because women of righteousness possess wisdom worth listening to. That's why a lot of times when I'm just dealing with the people, I'm speaking and I'm asking and I'm inquiring because I want to hear what's on your mind. It may be something that hasn't come across my mind as of yet. Numbers 27 and verse 1. Sometimes men, we depend on brute strength. But this right here, this knowledge is profitable to direct, like the book says. Numbers 27, pick up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read. Now, this is back in the wilderness. There's a couple sisters here, their father had passed away, but I want you to listen to what God had to say concerning these women. All right, pick up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Then came the daughters of Zelophehad.
Zelophehad, yep, keep going.
The son of Hephah.
The
son of Gilead.
Yep.
The son of Masha. The son of Manasseh. Of the families of Manasseh, the son of Joseph.
So this is the son of Joseph, keep going.
And these are the names of his daughters.
So he has some daughters, go ahead.
Mala, Noah, Hagla, and Milcah, and Tirzah. And they stood before Moses and before Eleazar the priest.
So now these daughters are standing before Moses and before Eleazar. The man isn't just his daughters are. Go ahead.
And before the princes and all the congregation, by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Our father died in the wilderness, and he was not in the company of them that gathered themselves together against the Lord, in company of Korah, but died in his own sin, and had no sons.
She said, hey, our dad died in his own sin. He wasn't in the matter of Korah. He didn't die with them, but he still died in his own sins. But keep going.
Why should the name of our father be done away from among his family? Because he hath no son.
Keep going.
Give unto us therefore a possession.
So they say, look, give unto us a possession. Go ahead.
Among the brethren of our father.
Just like the men, the brethren of our father. Keep going.
And Moses brought their cause before the Lord.
And Moses he didn't give a presumptuous answer. He said, I'm taking this to God to say concerning their request. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, the daughters of Zelophehad speak right.
They speak what?
Right.
The daughters of Zelophehad, and they speaking right. There was no answer that was automatically given, but they're coming and reasoning in some basic common sense. Like, look, just because our dad, did X, Y, and Z, why should his name be blotted out in concerning us possessing part of his inheritance? So he said, the daughters of Zelophehad speak right. Keep going.
Thou shalt surely give them a possession of an inheritance among their father's brethren.
Keep going.
And thou shalt cause the inheritance of their father to pass unto them.
Right. In other words, it's going to pass unto them. Keep going.
And thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if a man die and have no son, then he shall cause his inheritance to pass unto his daughter.
Right, it's almost like a new statute was being enforced from that point on because that one situation, that one matter presented itself. And they didn't come cause a big stir about it. They came directly to Moses and to Eleazar and pleaded within their cause. They took it to God, and God heard what they had to say. So if God can hear what they have to say, why can't men?
Amen to that.
Let's keep going. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 5. Because I showed a few examples concerning the Israelites. Let's see if other nations can listen to what these women have to say. 2 Kings chapter 5. And we're going to pick this up at verse 1. 2 Kings chapter 5 and verse 1. Now, we understand that when we give these examples, we're giving it from the fact of the matter of dealing with people in everyday life. I'm not speaking about the women standing where I am, because Numbers 27 lets you know that the Lord God of all spirits let him set a man over the congregation. So we understand that we're not talking about teaching from where I'm at. However, there's wise judgment that's among the people concerning the sisters. In fact, the reason why we have our calendar the way it is now is someone pointed out the Edomites' calendar was wrong. That's a whole other conversation. But 2 Kings chapter 5, pick up that verse 1. So you had the children of Israel going through some captivity, but let's see this example of this captive woman, what she had to say concerning her wisdom. Go ahead.
Now Naaman, the captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master.
He was a great man. Go ahead.
And honorable.
Right.
Because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria.
Yep, keep going.
He was also a mighty man of valor.
Keep going.
But he was a leper.
But he was a what?
A leper.
He was a leper. Keep going.
And the Syrians had gone out by company. And had brought away captive out of the land of Israel.
So they brought away captive out of the land of Israel. What?
A little maid.
A little maid. In other words, a young sister. Go ahead.
And she waited on Naaman's wife.
And she is like a maid or a helper to the wife of Naaman. Go ahead.
And she said unto her mistress.
So she said, so she about to give some good counsel. Go ahead.
Will God my Lord were with the prophet that is in Samaria? For he will recover him of his leprosy.
So she's trying to point everyone in the right direction. Well, really, the house of Naaman. Hey, she speaks to his wife to go ahead and let her speak to her husband. Hey, you could get that bone, you could get healed in Samaria. Go ahead. The prophet that is in Samaria. Go ahead.
And one went in and told his Lord, saying, thus and thus said the maid that is of the land of Israel.
Right. So word, started traveling, and it went to this great king, with this great what do they call him? Master, whatever they call him. Name it. But keep going. Hit verse 5.
And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel.
Right. Go ahead.
And he departed and took with him 10 talents of silver, and 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment.
So now he's bringing this big collection because he thinks he's going to do with a regular crop. They always want some kind of gift or reward, but it was really just about him exuding his faith. But he had no knowledge of it until this youngest sister, this little maid, had something to say, gave him some good counsel or some good advice. We know how the story ended. He was cured from his leprosy, and he turned around and believed God. But who started that ball rolling?
System, yeah.
Think about that. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 1. Think about that. We saw a great story about what Elisha did, and he did, and then turned around. Naaman dipped himself in the water 7 times. He was cured of his leprosy. Now I know there's no other God on earth but in Israel. Who kicked that off? Who did the Lord use to, give him glory in that instance? You understand that? You understand the Lord can use anybody.
Amen.
1 Samuel chapter 1. And we're going to pick this up at verse 1. The reason why I bring examples like that out is because sometimes they think if they don't have a particular large position that they can't have no impact in this. It's quite the contrary. Sometimes the ones you don't see are making a lot of the impact. I can just read a lot of verses about that. But 1 Samuel chapter 1, pick up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read. We're going to read about Hannah now. Go ahead.
Now there was a certain man, Ramatha in Zophim, of Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, and the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, and Ephrathite.
Right, exactly. So Elkanah, that's the man who we're going to talk about, his household, in verse 2.
And he had 2 wives. The name of the one was Hannah.
In other words, this is the one we're going to focus on. This one, wife Hannah. Go ahead, keep going.
And the name of the other, Peninnah. And Peninnah had children. But Hannah had no children.
But the other one, Hannah didn't have no children. Hit verse 4, because I'm trying to speed up the time. Go ahead.
And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife and to all her sons and her daughters portions.
Go ahead.
But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion.
Go ahead.
For he loved Hannah.
He did. Keep going.
But the Lord has shut up her womb.
Who shut up her womb?
The Lord.
The Lord did. Go ahead.
And her adversary also provoked her sore.
And her adversary is that other wife that's over here provoking her. Go ahead.
For to make her fret. Because the Lord has shut up her womb.
That's into verse 6.
Yes.
Jump to verse 10.
And she was in bitterness of soul. And prayed unto the Lord.
And prayed unto who?
The Lord.
Go ahead. So, but we understand now when you pray to the Lord, you have your head covered. You pray in the proper time, you cover your head. You get yourself in subjection, you operate in the right order. And let's see what's going to happen. Keep going.
And wept sore.
And
she vowed a vow. And said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man-child.
A boy. So she didn't say not just any baby. Like I'm asking for a son in this instance. Go ahead.
Then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life. And there shall no razor come upon his head.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli marked her mouth.
That's the priest. The priest that's over in Shiloh, he's marking what she's saying. Go ahead.
Now Hannah, she spake in her heart. Only her lips moved. But her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunk.
He thought she was drunk, but keep going.
And Eli said unto her, How long wilt thou be drunk?
Right.
Put away thy wine from thee. And Hannah answered and said, No, my Lord, I am a woman of sorrowful spirit.
I'm just a woman that's in a sorrowful spirit. Go ahead.
I have drunk neither wine,
right,
nor strong drink.
Right. Go ahead.
But I poured out my soul before the Lord.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Count not thy handmaid for a daughter of Belial.
The daughter of wickedness. Go ahead.
For out of the abundance of my complaint and grief have I spoken hitherto.
Now that's interesting. Now she's speaking about the affliction she's going through, But you have to remember, whenever, how can I say, a sister's going through affliction, you don't want to be the reason why that sister's going through affliction, because we're seeing that God is listening to this prayer. Go ahead.
Then Eli answered and said,
right,
go in peace.
Right.
And the God of Israel grant thee thy petition that thou hast asked him.
You asked him, go ahead.
And she said, let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight. So the woman went her way.
So that was it. She couldn't bear any children. She was in a situation where she was just sad, and she poured out her complaint before the Lord, and then that was it. Go ahead and finish out that verse.
And did eat.
Then all of a sudden she's going to get something to eat. Go ahead.
And her countenance was no more sad.
That means she believed that whatever she prayed for could actually be brought about or be brought into existence or be manifested by God. So when you pray, you put it out there sincere, but then, all right, God got it now. I done did my piece. I'm not going to wail this day after day after day after day. Because I put it in his hands. And if you know he's able, then there's no more worrying about what you are capable or not capable of doing. Go ahead and hit verse 19.
That's right.
And they rose up in the morning early.
Right.
And worshiped before the Lord. And returned and came to their house to Ramah.
Right.
And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife. And the Lord remembered her.
The Lord remembered her. Go ahead.
Wherefore it came to pass.
Right.
When the time was come about after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, because I've asked him of the Lord.
Right, now that's very interesting. She got her prayer answered, but keep in mind that we just, within that little couple verses right there, we missed 9 months of time. So in those 9 months, you still have grievances, you have up and downs, you have morning sickness. I've witnessed it all because I've seen my own wife go through it, a couple times. So, and not to mention the actual childbirth and the actual delivery. So, even though you are praying to the Lord and you're getting your prayer answered, don't mean that you're not going to have some hard days. And then this, you're getting your prayer answered. The Lord's still dealing with you. So, even when you serve a God, you have different things as far as job, promotion, or relationships, whoever, that does not mean it's not going to be some hard days, but you are still getting your prayers answered. You just have to look at overall time. It just, put, like I said, 9 months, a couple verses right there, right? So we couldn't read all the details. We couldn't read about her morning sickness. We couldn't read about her having a fever. We couldn't read about all these things that she had going on, but she got what she asked for when we read verse 20. Hit verse 21.
And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer unto the Lord the yearly sacrifice. And his vow.
Go ahead.
But Hannah went not up.
So I'm not going up right now. Go ahead, because she had already made a vow that she's going to give this child to the Lord. Go ahead.
Where she said unto her husband, I will not go up until the child be weaned.
Go ahead.
And then I will bring him, and that he may appear before the Lord, and there abide forever.
Go ahead. In other words, he's going to stay up there. Go ahead.
And Elkanah, her husband, said unto her, do what seemeth thee good.
Right.
Tarry until thou have weaned him.
So he just went ahead with the program that she set forth. Because this instance, she asked for the Lord, she got her prayer answered, and he's saying, like, do what you see was good. But that doesn't mean that, just like I said, just because you are the head or the head of the household or the covering, no, you just want to do A, B, and C. No, time out. If you understand that she's capable and she has an independent thinking brain and is able to use critical analysis just like anybody else, then sometimes you just, hey, do what you see fit, baby. Go ahead. Yeah, you got to that baby in this time. Just saying. Go ahead.
Only the Lord established his word.
Right.
So the woman abode and gave her son suck until she weaned him.
Right, and that's in verse 23, perfect. I just want to show that entire example of both petitioning the Lord, getting the prayer answered, the ups and downs of getting your blessing answered, and even a wise husband that's wants to give his woman some space to operate in wisdom. Do y'all see that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to Mark chapter 7, because what we saw in that example, we saw a woman that had great faith. It's one thing to have, like I said, just wisdom to listen to, but let's watch the actions as far as their faith. Sometimes that can be an example for some of us. Mark chapter 7, and pick up at verse 24. Mark 7 and verse 24. Like I said, I'm only focusing on those that are set to be great examples for us today. Because all these books these writings are examples for us. But that's all I'm focusing on today. Because when you understand what you're aiming for, then you don't understand, if you understand that as a basketball player, someone needs to make a shot, then you don't need to focus on what it looks like when someone misses. Let's focus on the people that make their shots. Mark 7, and pick up at verse 24. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And from thence he arose and went into the borders of Tyre and Zidon.
So Jesus going to the border of Tyre and Zidon. Go ahead.
And entered into an house.
Right.
And whereof no man knew.
Right.
But he could not be hid.
Right.
For a certain woman whose young daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him.
Right.
And came and fell at his feet.
Right. So this mother comes to how can I say petition the Lord for her daughter. Well, go ahead.
The woman was a Greek, a Syro-Phoenician by nation, and she besought him that he would cast forth the devil out of her daughter.
So she's seeking after Jesus, which is a good thing to do. But here, verse 27.
But Jesus said unto her, let the children first be filled.
Right.
For it is not meet.
Did y'all hear that? Let the children first be filled. In other words, let them get it first. That's all he's saying. He's not saying that I'm not doing anything for any other nations. He said, let them first be filled. Go ahead.
For it is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it unto the dogs.
Now, if present day, someone heard Jesus say that, they would have went off on him. You bunch of blanky, you want this? I'm like, hold on. You notice, now I'm showing the wisdom that she had, though. He says it's not meet to take the children's bread and cast it unto dogs. But he's not saying that all the nations are dogs. He's just giving a parable. Hit verse 28.
And she answered and said unto him, yes, Lord.
She said, what?
Yes, Lord.
After he said that, but now watch this wisdom because she's going to switch it on. Go ahead.
Yet the dogs.
Yet the what?
The dogs. Under the table.
Yet the dogs, in other words, she's referring to other nations. Go ahead. Yet the dogs, go ahead.
Eat of the children's crumbs.
Right. In other words, she's saying that example you gave, but let's bring this in common sense. If you have a dog in your house, aren't they still going to eat of the food that the master still eats? So she's showing some wisdom in using that same example and showing why she's still get her prayer in. You see that? Yeah, how she get that request answered. Go, verse 29.
And he said unto her, for this saying, go thy way.
For this saying, for what you said, if you said something with wisdom, go your way. Go ahead.
The devil is gone out of thy daughter.
He did it that quick. Go ahead, hit verse 30.
And when she was come to her house, she found the devil gone out, and her daughter laid upon the bed.
So what did she just show in that example? She showed some patience in her response. She just go off the handle and just say anything. She showed patience in her response, and she'll show some wisdom in the example that he gave to her. You see that? Because that means she had faith that this guy really could do what everyone believes that he can do. Let's go ahead. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 4. I love this example. 2 Kings chapter 4. I mean, all these examples are great, and this could really be several parts, but I want to focus on some of these sisters in here that just really set the tone in some of these examples. 2 Kings chapter 4. And sometimes, one thing that's interesting is, sometimes you don't even hear what their names are. You know, you just see the example, but there's no name put on sometimes in these examples. Like sometimes with service of God, some of them you see that, but in some of these examples it doesn't say their name, but you still just like, wow, what they did. You know, 2 Kings chapter 4, go ahead and pick this up at verse 8. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And it fell on a day that Elisha passed to Shunem.
Shunem, yep.
Where was a great woman.
Where was a what?
A great woman.
A great woman. This woman was very notable. Go ahead.
And she constrained him to eat bread.
Come on, get you something to eat. Go ahead.
And
you
so
don't work that hard with me. All you gotta do is say, you know, we got something cooking in the back. I'm there. But she had to constrain him. Apparently, he was on submission. But go ahead.
And so it was.
Right.
That as oft as he passed by.
So every time he rolled through that town, go ahead.
He turned in thither to eat bread.
Right. He always gets something to eat here. Now watch this. Hit verse 9.
And she said unto her husband, Behold now, I perceive that this is an holy man of God.
You mean that some of these righteous women are very observant? Sometimes the husband ain't picking up on something. She's like, no. I perceive that this is a holy man of God, which passes by us continually. Go ahead.
Let us make a little chamber.
Let's make a little chamber. Go ahead.
I pray you.
Right.
On the wall.
Right.
And let us set for him there a bed. And a table. And a stool.
Right.
And a candlestick.
Right.
And it shall be when he cometh to us.
Right.
That he shall turn in thither.
In other words, let's lay it out for him, because This isn't just a man of God. This is a holy man of God. Because there's other people that claim to be men of God in these days. But he said, no, this one's different. Go ahead.
And it fell on a day that he came thither. And he turned into the chamber and lay there.
Go ahead. Now watch what he's going to say. Listen, that's receiving all this well treatment by her hand. Listen to what he's going to say in verse 12. Go ahead.
And he said to Gehazi,
yeah,
his servant,
yeah,
call this Shunammite.
Shunammite. Because they were going to the town of Shunammite just means she was from that town. Call this Shunammite. Go ahead.
And when he had called her, she stood before him.
Go ahead.
And he said unto him, say now unto her, behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care.
With all this care. Go ahead.
What is to be done for thee?
In other words, look, you've been doing all these consistent actions and looking out. Now, what can I do for you for a change? Go ahead.
Wouldst thou be spoken for to the king?
Do you want me to give some good words to the king? Go ahead.
Or to the captain of the host?
You want me to speak to the general of the army on your behalf? Go ahead.
And she answered, I dwell among my own people.
Look, I'm good here. I'm dwelling among my own people. Go ahead.
And he said, what then is to be done for her?
Go ahead.
And Gehazi answered, verily she hath no child.
Oh, that's what it is. She doesn't have any children. Go ahead.
And her husband is old.
Go ahead.
And he said, call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door. And he said, about this season, according to the time of life.
According to the time of life, we understand about 9 months. Go ahead.
Thou shalt embrace a son.
You shall embrace a son. Go ahead.
And she said, nay, my Lord, thou man of God, do not lie unto thine handmaid.
In other words, don't lie to me. In other words, don't get my hopes up. Men should understand when dealing with women, when you get ready to, how can I say, they get ready to blossom with love, don't get their hopes up and drop them. So you say, don't lie to me. In verse 17.
And the woman conceived, and bare a son at that season, that Elisha had said unto her, according to the time of life.
Just like he said in verse 18.
And when the child was grown, it fell on a day that he went out to his father to the reapers.
In other words, the prayer was answered. Everything came through. You think that's like, happy ever after, that's the end. No, we still live in life. So the child is older, grown, and fell on the day that when he went out to his father, to the reapers, in verse 19.
And he said unto his father, my head.
I got a crazy headache. My head hurts. Go ahead.
And he said to a lad, carry him to his mother. And when he had taken him.
Now, usually a father's like, trying to figure out what's going on. But he understands that he has a wife that's able to handle the situation. Carry him to his mother. Go ahead.
And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon, and then died.
And then what?
Died.
He died on his mother's lap. But he was a miracle already because she couldn't even have any children. But watch this woman's response. Go ahead to verse 21.
And she went up.
She got up,
and laid him on the bed of the man of God.
She laid him on the bed where the man of God was laying at. When they made that little chamber for him, she put him on that bed. Go ahead.
And shut the door upon him. And went out.
So she shut the door, and now she heads out. Go ahead.
And she called unto her husband. And said, send me, I pray thee, one of the young men, and one of the asses, that I may run to the man of God, and come again.
So she's like, I got to handle something, sweetie. Send me, I pray thee, over here, I got to go handle something. She didn't even tell him that the son had died. I got to handle something. Hit verse 23.
And he said, wherefore wilt thou go to him today?
You going to go to him today? You look at the calendar? What's so special about today? Go ahead.
It is neither new moon.
It's not the new moon. Go ahead.
Nor Sabbath.
It's not the Sabbath, because that's when you find the men of God on Sabbath. Go ahead.
And she said, it shall be well.
It's all right. Hit verse 24.
Then she saddled an ass and said to her servant, drive and go forward.
Well, as we would say, present day, put the pedal to the metal. Go ahead. Try not to go forward. Go ahead.
Slack not thy riding for me, except I bid thee.
We going past the speed limit. Hit verse 25.
So she went and came unto the man of God to Mount Carmel. And it came to pass, when the man of God saw her far off, that he said to Gehazi his servant, behold, yonder is that Shunammite.
That Shunammite woman coming. You see her coming in the distance? Go ahead. ahead. Hit verse 26.
Run now, I pray thee, to meet her.
Look, pray to go see what she needs. Go ahead.
And say unto her, Is it well with thee?
As we say, is it all good? Go ahead.
Is it well with thy husband?
Your husband good? Go ahead.
Is it well with the child?
How's the baby doing? Go ahead.
And she answered,
Right?
It is well.
She answered, it's all good. So she ain't even really tell him what's going on yet. Something's going on up here. You don't always know what's on a woman's mind. But sometimes they are handling business. Hit verse 27.
When she came to the man of God, to the hill, she caught him by the feet. But Gehazi came near to thrust her away.
In other words, she didn't want to deal with any intermediary between her and the man of God, Elisha. So she went directly to the source. Now, I don't want to deal with you right now, Gehazi. It's all good. But when she came in, she fell directly on his feet. Keep going.
And the man of God said, Let her alone.
In other words, don't try to push her off me. Go ahead.
For her soul is vexed within her.
Right. Something's going on. Go ahead.
And the Lord hath hid it from me.
And the Lord didn't even tell me what's going on. So in order for me to get this information, I got to get it directly from her. And how can you get it from her if you don't ever listen to a woman? Go ahead.
And have not told me.
The Lord ain't told me. Go ahead.
Then she said,
Now it's time for her to speak. Go ahead.
Did I desire a son of my Lord? Did I not say? Do not deceive me.
In other words, ask for a son. Don't deceive me. Go ahead.
Then he said to Gehazi, Gird up thy loins, and take my staff in thine hand, and go thy way.
Right.
If thou meet any man, salute him not. And if any salute thee, answer him not again.
Right, because he was Gehazi was like a servant that was trying to help him out. How can I say? Working in various capacities. So he's sending him to kind of help deal with the situation. But go ahead.
And lay my staff upon the face of the child.
Take my staff, get to the child, lay your staff upon. Go ahead.
And the mother of the child said, As the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And he arose and followed her.
So she was like, I'm not leaving without you. Talk to Elisha. Go ahead.
And Gehazi passed on before them.
So Gehazi's ahead of him. Go ahead.
And laid the staff upon the face of the child.
Right.
But there was neither voice,
right,
nor hearing.
Right.
Wherefore he went again to meet him, and told him, saying, The child is not awake.
So they still coming. He comes back saying, the child still hasn't woke up, even though I use your staff. Elisha, go ahead.
And when Elisha was come into the house,
so now he comes himself. Go ahead.
Behold, the child was dead.
The child was dead. Go ahead.
And laid upon his bed. And went in therefore. And shut the door upon them too. And prayed unto the Lord. And he went up.
Right.
And laid upon the child.
So he goes and he's like extending himself over the child. Go ahead.
And put his mouth upon his mouth. And his eyes upon his eyes. And his hands upon his hands. And he stretched himself upon the child.
Right.
And the flesh of the child waxed warm.
Now all of a sudden this child getting some heat. But she's back here just observing. Because she knew who to get for this particular circumstance, because she understands who the real God is. Go ahead.
Then he returned.
Right.
And walked in the house to and fro.
Right.
And went up. And stretched himself upon him.
Right.
And the child sneezed 7 times.
What the child did what 7 times?
Sneeze.
That means that it started to, like how they say jump start. It's like life is starting to kick in. Go ahead.
And the child opened his eyes.
And the child did what?
Opened his eyes.
After sneezing 7 times, the child came to life. You say he opened his eyes. Go ahead, hit verse 36.
And he called Gehazi and said, Call the Shunammite.
Call this woman. Go ahead.
So he called her. And when she was come in unto him, he said, Take up thy son.
Take up thy son. Hit verse 37.
Then she went in and fell at his feet and bowed herself to the ground.
Now she don't even say nothing. She went, bows to his feet, and keep going.
And took up her son.
Got her son, go ahead.
And went out.
And got up out of there. Do y'all see that faith this woman had? She didn't say nothing to nobody but the man of God. And when he did what the men of God do, she turned around and said, I'm out. Where the husband at? You don't know nothing about the situation. Because sometimes some situations, you cannot really put it into words. The grief is so strong in you. Sometimes you have to go and deal directly with God or the man of God in this circumstance or this situation. But she got her prayer answered. Because this is yet another woman of great faith. Let's go ahead and hit Proverbs 14 though. Because I want to give some examples of what the Proverbs show about women like this. that we have in our midst even today. Proverbs 14, and pick up at verse 1. Because there's more than one way to look after a household. You have two people over the household. Believe they understand the order. Proverbs 14, when you hit verse 1, go ahead and read.
Every wise woman buildeth her house.
Every wise woman does what with her house?
Building.
She was building her house. She was protecting her house. She was looking out for her house. Go ahead.
But the foolish
plucketh
it down with their hands.
But she wasn't acting like that, was she? She was building her house. She was operating with wisdom. In fact, the whole reason they had a child in the first place is because she was observant at what the husband didn't catch on to. Catch that. Let's keep going. Let's go to Genesis 24. Because so far I walked down that, women of righteousness possess wisdom worth listening to. They live by great faith, but also they can bring tremendous value in a marriage. Here's the reason why you get the term power couple. Let's take a look at one example. Let's go to Genesis 24. Let's go to Genesis 24. So we can see some of these consistent examples. This topic alone can end up being a two-part lesson because there's so many sisters that I leave once out of this lesson. But I'll at least name them so y'all can go back and read. Genesis 24. When you get there, pick up that verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And Abraham was old and well stricken in age.
Right.
And the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things.
Right. Abraham was a very blessed man. Go ahead.
And Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house, that ruled over all that he had,
right?
Put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven.
That was just a thing that they did. Put your hand under my thigh. I mean, today you'll see kids, grab pinkies or whatever. It was just an outward expression that you're gonna stay true to what I'm getting ready to tell you to do. Keep going.
And the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell. In
other words, I want you to go search out a wife for my son, but don't get none from where we're at right now. Go ahead.
But thou shalt go unto my country, and to my kindred.
But you, sir, are going to go to my country and my kindred. Go ahead.
And take a wife unto my son Isaac. And the servant said unto him, peradventure, the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land. Must I needs bring thy son again unto the land from whence thou camest?
In other words, if the woman isn't willing to come, am I going to take your son back over there? He's like, no, I want him to stay here, but I want you to make sure you get a wife from somewhere outside of here. Let's jump down to verse 12. Go ahead.
And he said, O Lord God of my master Abraham.
Right, this is the servant. He's on his way. He's near the town. Now he's praying unto God. And we know that this individual was not an Israelite or a Hebrew because he was told to go to the place of Abraham's country and of Abraham's kindred. So he is not necessarily related in this fashion. This is a stranger praying to God in Genesis 24. Go ahead.
I pray thee.
Right.
Send me good speed this day, and show kindness unto my master Abraham. Behold, I stand here by the well of water.
I came all the way by this well of water. Go ahead.
And the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water.
Right, go ahead.
And let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, let down thy pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink. And she shall say, drink, and I will give thy camels drink also.
So he's saying, the woman that you chose, I want her to have this kind of mindset. Yeah, I'll get you something to drink, and I'll give you your camels something to drink also. Go ahead.
Let the same be she that thou hast appointed.
Let that be the one that you have picked or appointed. That woman. Go ahead.
For thy servant Isaac.
For your servant Isaac. Go ahead.
And thereby shall I know that thou hast showed kindness unto my master. And it came to pass, before he had done speaking.
Before he had done what?
Speaking.
So you were in the middle of your prayer and it's getting answered. Go ahead.
That behold, Rebekah came out, who was born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother,
right?
With her pitcher upon her shoulder.
So he's in the middle of prayer. You know how you praying, you got that one eye open, and all of a sudden you see, here she comes. You over here in mid-prayer, like, go ahead.
And the damsel was very fair.
And she was very fair. Right, he gonna stop. He gonna stop his parents to check that out. Go ahead.
To look upon.
A
virgin.
Right.
Neither had any man known her.
Right.
She went down to the well.
Right.
And filled her pitcher.
So she don't worry about her own business. Go ahead.
And came up.
Keep going.
And the servant ran to meet her.
So he's all right. I'll be back. Bye. So he's gonna run to meet her. Go ahead.
And said, let me, I pray thee,
right,
drink a little water of thy pitcher.
And so you said, can I get something to drink? Go ahead.
And she said, drink, my lord. And she hasted and let down her pitcher upon her hand.
She hasted. She hurried up and did it. Go ahead. Let down her pitcher in her hand. Go ahead.
And gave him drink. And when she had done giving him drink, she said.
So he didn't ask. She said of her own accord. She said, go ahead.
I will draw water for thy camels also. Until they have done drinking.
So he knew, this is the one. Go ahead, hit verse 20.
And she hasted. And emptied her pitcher into the trough. And ran again unto the well to draw water. And drew for all his camels.
Go ahead, hit verse 21.
And the man wondering at her.
What's the man doing? The man is wondering at her like, oh my goodness. A woman that has these characteristics, today a man will be wondering at her. Message. So she's not carrying these behaviors while the husband is around, or the potential husband is around, or while Bay is around. She's carrying these characteristics when he's not around. And so word is going to travel, and it's going to end up, ending in a meetup. But these characteristics that she exuded while she's minding her own business went far, it preceded the situation. Because Isaac or Bay was not coming to this land, it was through a servant. And he's got eyes on what she's doing. Not only is she fair, but he didn't pray about the fairness of her beauty. He prayed about the characteristics of her spirit. And you see how she's acting. Now he's wandering at her. There's a lot of people that have a lot of how can I say, beauty. But this is the part he's wondering at. That's verse 21. Did you finish that? No. Finish out 21.
And the man wandering at her held his peace, to wit whether the Lord had made his journey prosperous or not.
He is shutting up and just watching. Hit verse 26, but because he knows that this is the one. Hit verse 26.
And the man bowed down his head and worshiped the Lord.
So he understood the caliber of the woman he had on his hand. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Right, you got that. Better thing. Hit verse 29.
And Rebekah had a brother. And his name was Laban. And Laban ran out unto the man unto the well.
So that's the brother lady that we read, in other chapters. But he comes to check out, who's this guy talking to my sister? Hit verse 30.
And it came to pass when he saw the earring and bracelets upon his sister's hand.
She got some bling on, she got some earrings on, she got some jewelries on. Go ahead.
And when he heard the words of Rebekah, his sister, saying, thus spake the man unto me, that he came unto the man, and behold, he stood by the camels at the well.
Now what did Laban have to say to this servant of Abraham that came with all these jewelries? Go ahead.
And he said, come in, thou blessed of the Lord.
Come on in and get some cold to drink. This boy got his own money. Finish up 31.
Wherefore standest thou without?
Why are you standing outside? Come in. Go ahead.
For I have prepared the house and room for the camels.
Right.
And the man came into the house.
See, he comes in, he runs down the whole story of how he prayed and how Rebecca came and did this and did that. But jump down to verse 49. I want to get right to the business where he's like, okay, can I please take her to her new husband? Go ahead. Hit verse 49.
And now if you will deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me.
Right.
And if not, tell me.
Right.
That I may turn to the right hand or to the left.
Keep going.
Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, the thing proceedeth from the Lord.
Right.
We cannot speak unto thee bad or good.
They understood what it was. Keep going.
Behold, Rebekah is before them. Take her and go. And let her be thy master's son's wife.
Right.
As the Lord hath spoken.
Right. Keep going.
And it came to pass that when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshipped the Lord, bowed himself to the earth.
So they said, pretty much, we in line with this thing. But then later on they asked, well, okay, when shall she go? But hit verse 53. Because when he got the AOK, verse 53, go ahead.
And the servant brought forth jewels of silver.
Right.
And jewels of gold.
Right. Because now he's showing, look, I got a little bit more where that came from. You know, you thought that, let's see, this guy that's pursuing a wife has his stuff, how can I say it? The servant on behalf of Isaac is showing that I have substance to sustain her. She's good. Don't worry about that, right? I'm about my business. But now he just shows I got even more where that came from when they said, hey, okay, keep going.
And raiment. And gave them to Rebekah.
Right? And she got even more. Keep going.
He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things.
You know, he was happy. Come on in now, blessed of the Lord. Go ahead. Oh, you gonna give me a golden ring too? Keep going.
And they did eat and drink. He and the men that were with them.
Right.
And tarried all night. And they rose up in the morning, and he said, send me away unto my master.
Right. Right. Because he said, all right, let's go back. Hit verse 61 though.
And Rebekah arose, and her damsels, and they rode upon the camels, and followed the man.
Right.
And the servant took Rebekah and went his way.
Right. Hit verse 63.
And Isaac went out to meditate in the field at the eventide.
So Isaac back at home, he just meditating, he just chilling. Go ahead.
And he lifted up his eyes.
Right.
And saw.
Right.
And behold, the camels were coming.
So hold on, you see him coming back. Go ahead, hit verse 64.
And Rebekah lifted up her eyes. And when she saw Isaac, she lighted off the camel. And she had said unto the servant, what man is this that walketh in the field to meet us?
In other words, she said, who is this brother? Go ahead.
And the servant had said, it is my master.
It's him. Go ahead.
Therefore she took a veil and covered herself.
Oh, so now when it's time to meet that spouse, she's not worried about revealing herself. She's worried about covering herself or showing that modesty. Go ahead.
And the servant told Isaac all things that he had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. And took Rebekah.
Right.
She became his wife. And he loved her.
And he loved her. Go ahead.
And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death.
Now this dude was grieving from his mother's death, but this woman has entered his life. Now all of a sudden he is comforted. Big message right there. Big message. Let's keep this going. Let's go to Proverbs 19 real quick. Proverbs 19, one verse. Because when you think about it, even though as blessed as Abraham was, Abraham had riches and cattle and lands and all this, he did not have the power or the autonomy to get him a righteous wife. We need to find out where that comes from. Proverbs 19. When you get there, pick it up at verse 14. Proverbs 19 and 14. When you get there, go ahead and read.
House and riches.
House and riches. Go ahead.
Are the inheritance of fathers.
Right, because you see people when they will that to the children, to the nephews, they can pass those physical things on. Go ahead.
And a prudent wife.
And a what?
A prudent wife.
A prudent wife. Didn't she show those examples? Go ahead.
It's from the Lord.
Right, because Abraham had no power in that situation. He had to depend upon a servant to try to bring that about, but it was the Lord that answered that servant's prayer because that comes from God in the first place. Do y'all see that?
Yes.
Let's keep going. Let's go to Deuteronomy 24. Because when you get one, number one, you are blessed by the Lord. But when you get one, when I say one meaning a woman of righteousness, you turn around and make sure you have to keep this in mind. Deuteronomy 24, one verse. Verse 5. Deuteronomy 24 and verse 5. When you get there, go ahead and read.
When a man have taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war.
So you're not about to go sign up for, or if you are in the military or whatever, this is not the time to sign up for combat. You're not about to go out to war. Go ahead.
Neither shall he be charged with any business.
Don't be worried about taking on all kinds of, new obligations in this instance. Go ahead.
But he shall be free at home 1 year.
But he's going to spend how long?
1 year.
1 year. Go ahead.
And shall cheer up his wife.
And shall do what?
Cheer up his wife.
Because these are some of the biggest memories that you're going to have. Because when you have children, there comes a lot of responsibility. A lot of work comes into play. But as newlyweds, he wants you to just spend that 1 year with your wife and just focus on cheering up your wife. So apparently what she has to think or her feelings or her emotions matters, huh? Keep going.
Which he hath taken.
Which he hath taken. That's what I wanted. Let's go to Acts 18. Let's go to Acts 18. Do y'all see that right there? Yes. Okay. I'm going to keep going then. Acts 18 and verse 1, because now I want to show an example of a power couple in the scripts. Acts 18, and we're going to pick this up at verse 1. Because we already know about the example of the bad couples that messed up, Jezebel and Ahab. We already know about Ananias and Sapphira in Acts chapter 5 when they died and everything. But like I said, I'm focusing on the best examples of women in the book. Acts 18, and pick up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
After these things, Paul departed from Athens,
right,
and came to Corinth,
right,
and found a certain Jew named Aquila,
right,
born in Pontus,
right,
lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla.
Okay, they was together. All throughout this book, you always see Priscilla and Aquila together because they're a unit. Go ahead.
Because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome.
Right. Go ahead. Hit verse 3.
And came unto them. And because he was of the same craft, he abode with them.
Right.
And wrought, for by their occupation they were tent makers.
In other words, they had the same occupation, they had the same job. They also were tent makers just like Paul was. We jump to verse 18. Go ahead.
And Paul, after this tarried there yet a good while, and then took his leave of the brethren, right, and sailed thence into Syria, right, and with him Priscilla and Aquila.
So this power couple was with him. Go ahead.
Having shorn his head in Centuria, where he had a battle.
Right, so he's headed back with them, but jump down to verse 24 now.
And a certain Jew named Apollos.
Now this is the brother that knew some scripts. A certain Jew named Apollos, go ahead.
Born at Alexandria.
Right.
An eloquent man.
He could speak well, go ahead.
And mighty in the scriptures.
He knew the scriptures too, go ahead.
Came to Ephesus.
Keep going.
This man was instructed in the way of the Lord. And being fervent in the spirit.
Right, he had a lot of zeal on him. Go ahead.
He spake and taught diligently.
He spake and taught diligently. Go ahead.
The things of the Lord. Knowing only the baptism of John.
But even though he had all these characteristics, he had a glitch. His knowledge wasn't all the way there. But they caught the attention. He caught the attention of Priscilla and Aquila. Hit verse 26.
And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue. Whom whence Aquila and Priscilla had heard.
So when they got a chance, because they heard what he had to say, when they had heard, go ahead.
They took him unto them. And expounded unto him.
It says they took him unto them. That still means two. Go ahead.
And expounded unto him the way of God more perfectly.
They expound unto him the way of God more perfectly. So there's nothing wrong with having a conversation with sisters also in the Word that's doing what? Expounding the way of God more perfectly. It's just not as being done from up here. You see that? Because a lot of times I know some people say, you know what, I wanted to deal with this guy, yada, 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 but, I didn't want to get out of order. Look, showing them accuracy from the Bible is not out of order. It's just not going to be over the head of the congregation. Right. You see that? Yeah. Because I want to show you that where the Bible does and where it does not limit the women of righteousness. Go ahead and let's keep going. Let's go to Proverbs 12. Let's go back to Proverbs chapter 12. It does not limit you from talking to people and showing them, how can I say, even a higher knowledge that comes straight from the book, because that's the only high knowledge there is in the first place. Proverbs 12 and verse 4. When you get there, go ahead and read that. That's why later on, I think it's in the Corinthians where it talks about that they had a church in their house, right? It was about edifying people. That's just what they did as a unit, right? Because that's what Priscilla and Aquila were a power couple in the Word. Hit verse 4. When you get there, go ahead and read Proverbs 12 and verse 4.
A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband. Right. But she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones.
But in this example that we just read, it looks like Priscilla was a what? A crown to her husband. In other words, if you have a crown, you always like having it on, don't you? You don't like having it at home catching dust, do you? Because that's what she was in this instance. The virtuous woman is a crown to her husband. So let's keep it going from there. Let's go to Exodus chapter 1 and show some other examples about righteous women. Because another action is that they take action. In other words, they do what's necessary from time to time. Exodus chapter 1. And let's pick this up at verse 13. Exodus 1 and 13. When you get there, go ahead and read. Go ahead.
And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage.
Right, go ahead.
In mortar, and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field.
Right.
All their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor.
Right, so keep going.
And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Sifra, and the name of the other Pur.
Right, so these sisters are midwives, which is still around, occupation is still around today. In fact, both of my children were born by midwives. But go ahead.
And he said, when he do the office of a midwife,
right,
to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stool, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him.
Right.
But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Right. They were trying to execute what's called genocide, but they knew in order to execute that they had to take out the men. But keep going.
But the midwives feared God.
But the midwives did what? They feared God. Go ahead.
And did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive.
In other words, they knew what action to take and what actions not to take concerning their nation. Go ahead.
And the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said unto them, why have ye done this thing? And have saved the men children alive.
So now imagine you in that situation. You're supposed to do something by way of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and now he's calling you into his office. Why haven't you done this? In other words, there's some fear that's probably set on them in this instance. But keep going.
And the midwives said unto Pharaoh,
right?
Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women.
Right, they're a little different. Keep going.
But they are lively.
They still are. Keep going.
And are delivered before the midwives come in unto them.
They delivered even before we get a chance to get to them. But hit verse 20.
Therefore God dealt well with the midwives.
God did what? He dealt well with those midwives. Because in other words, just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do something. They understood the wisdom to that I should not do this, even though it comes from the king himself. Keep going.
And the people multiplied.
Right.
And waxed very mighty.
Keep going.
And it came to pass.
And it came to pass. Go ahead.
Because the midwives feared God.
Because the midwives did what?
Feared God.
Feared God. Go ahead.
Then he made them houses.
Now we should understand what it's talking about when it says that I made them houses. This isn't talking about a construction company. This isn't talking about I'm going to put together 4 walls and a roof. When you understand it, because we are at day 6 of the Feast of Tabernacles, a tabernacle talks about a place where you will dwell. That's why it's also the 6th day that you're supposed to be in the booth. But all this represents the 6th day that you are in this body. But he has made them houses, in other words, new bodies that they will take on at the time appointed. God made them houses because they feared God. And present day, if you continue to fear God, he will make you a house. Did he tell that to David too? Even though David was living in a nice place at the time? Go ahead.
And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river, and every daughter ye shall save alive.
In other words, he couldn't get the Hebrews to do it, so he's going to find another way to execute that. But let's keep going. Let's go to Exodus 2 and verse 1. Actually, no, I'm going to hit that later. Let's go straight to Exodus 4. Because in Exodus 2, for the sake of time, you had the daughter of, in fact, I do need to hit it. I'm sorry. Exodus 2 and 1. I do need to hit it. Let's hit it. Because I want to show some little tidbits in there. Exodus 2 and 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And there went a man of the house of Levi.
Right.
And took to wife a daughter of Levi.
Right. So his name was Amram, and then his wife's name was Jochebed. But these are the parents of Moses and Aaron. Hit verse 2.
And the woman conceived.
Right.
And bare a son.
Right.
And when she saw him that he was a goodly child.
Right.
She hid him 3 months.
Because the sons were on the hit list, right? They were targets. So she's trying to hide her son. Hit verse 3.
And when she could not longer hide him,
because they get loud, a lot of people, they can hear when a child's crying. So she can't really continue hiding. Finish out verse 3.
She took for him an ark of bulrushes,
right,
and daubed it with slime, right, and with pitch,
right,
and put the child therein.
Right, keep going.
And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink.
Keep going.
And his sister stood afar off.
So what she's doing, she's pushing Moses in this ark and pushing him into a direction where he may be able to receive some mercy. Keep going.
To see what would be done to him.
Now the sister's following to see what was going to be done to him. But right now, the only male in this story is just Moses. You have the mother, you have the sister, let's keep going.
And the daughter of Pharaoh came down.
And the daughter of Pharaoh. This is all women concerning executing this plan of God that's still in play. Keep going.
Came down to wash herself at the river.
Right.
And her maidens walked along.
And the maidens, go ahead.
walked alone by the riverside.
There's no other male but the women. Keep going. I mean, but Moses. Keep going.
And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to bring it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child.
Right.
And behold, the babe wept.
Keep going.
And she had compassion on
She
her.
had what?
Compassion.
She had what?
Compassion.
Compassion. Sometimes the women have some compassion that sometimes the men don't have. I understand some of my folks. I understand sometimes that I don't always have as much compassion as what the other half has. But when you have a wife, guess what? You have a chance for someone to speak some reason into your ear so that way you can build something. Keep going.
And said, this is one of the Hebrews' children.
So she understood what's up. This is one of the Hebrews' children. And she understands what's happening to them. Keep going.
Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother.
Keep going.
And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it.
Right. No, that's not perfect. No, thank you. So she went and nursed her own son because the sister looked out and helped out that exchange. I could do this, but she understood that it was the mother. And the thing is, the daughter of Pharaoh understood that they were on the hit list, so she's not a missionary. I got a Hebrew children of the Pharaoh, so she's in on it too. So all these women concerning Moses knowing what? Help execute the plan of God. Do y'all see that? Let's keep going. Let's go to Exodus 4. Like I was trying to do, but like I said, I need to point out those little small things ring big, and that's why I don't want to skip over them, because when you go back and read those stories, sometimes that context that in the Lord's word will stick with you, and you cannot skip over those points. Yeah. Exodus chapter 4 and verse 21. Exodus 4 and verse 21. When you get there, go ahead and read, because now Moses is a grown man and everything. And Lord already appeared to him in the burning bush and everything. He's on the mission, but there's another instance that's going on that he needs to rectify. Go ahead and hit verse 21. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And the Lord said unto Moses, when thou goest to return into Egypt,
right,
see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh,
right,
which I have put in thine hand.
Right.
But I will harden his heart,
right,
that he shall not let the people go. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord,
right,
Israel is my son, even my firstborn.
Keep going.
And I say unto thee,
right,
let my son go,
right,
that he may serve me.
Keep going.
And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn.
Keep going.
And it came to pass by the way in the end that the Lord met him and sought to kill him.
Right.
Then Zipporah.
So the Lord's about to kill Moses. Keep going.
Then Zipporah took a sharp stone.
That's the wife. That's the missus. Go ahead.
And cut off the foreskin of her son.
Keep going.
And cast it at his feet.
Keep going.
And said, surely a bloody husband art thou to me.
Keep going.
So he let him go.
So who let who go? So God let Moses go because of the action that Zipporah took on her own. Keep going.
Then she said, a bloody husband thou art, because of the circumcision.
Because of that circumcision. Because of that circumcision. Let's go to 1 Samuel 25. 1 Samuel 25. Let's skip over this. 1 Samuel 25. Let's get another example. Like I said, there's so many in here. If you really take your time to hunt these down, you'll be in here a long time trying to find out all these scriptures and all these lessons that they have, that the book is teaching concerning them. 1 Samuel 25. And we're going to pick this up at verse 2. 1 Samuel 25 and verse 2. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And there was a man in Manoah, whose possessions were in Carmel.
Right.
The man was very great.
Right.
And he had 3,000 sheep.
Right.
And 1,000 goats.
Right. So he was set. This individual was Nabal, but he was set. Fish out too.
And he was sharing his sheep in Carmel.
Keep going.
Now the name of the man was Nabal. And the name of his wife, Abigail. And she was a woman of good understanding.
Now that's the first thing they put out there, right? She was a woman of good understanding. Go ahead.
And of a beautiful countenance.
Keep going.
But the man was churlish and evil in his doings.
So he wasn't necessarily on point, but go ahead.
And he was of the house of Caleb.
And even though he was a descendant of Caleb, this is one of the individuals that actually how can I say, made out the wilderness. He was one of his descendants. Keep going.
And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men.
Right.
And David said unto the young men, get you up to Carmel. And go to Nabal and greet him in my name.
Yeah, in other words, he's like, hey, let's go ask his brother if we can get some provisions. You know, we're going through it right now. Let's ask people to look out for us as we look out for him. Jump down to verse 8.
And thy young men, ask thy young men, and they will show thee.
Actually, let's jump to verse 10. Let's get right to it. Go ahead. Because let me hear the response that Nabal gives David's servants when they go to ask for some provisions. Go ahead.
And Nabal answered David's servants and said, who is David?
Who is he? Go ahead.
And who is the son of Jesse?
Now, apparently he does know who he is if you know who his father is. In other words, who is he to me? In other words, you know how people say, they ain't putting no food in my mouth. Even though you know who it is. Go ahead.
There'll be many servants nowadays that break away every man from his master.
So he even knows the situation that he learned from Saul. So apparently you know quite a lot about him. Go ahead.
Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shearers and give it unto men whom I know not whence they be?
Shall I do this for my this and I this? Oh, he's very selfish in his thinking. But go ahead, hit verse 12. Go ahead.
So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told him all those sayings.
Right, they went and just told him what happened. Now what did David say, verse 13?
And David said unto his men, gird ye on every man his sword.
Go ahead.
And they girded on every man his sword.
Now, that's one thing. Sometimes men can get very angry very quick. And he is out for blood now. Especially when, you done put some sweat equity into this. You done looked out for someone and you are not, how can I say, there's no appreciation. He's out for blood. Keep going.
And David also girded on his sword.
Go ahead.
And there went up after David about 400 men. And 200 of bold by the stuff.
So there was 600, but 200 staying back. I'm going to get 400 going to take this house down. Keep going.
But one of the young men told Abigail.
Now, so this one young man really had to have an understanding, right? Everyone else, they must have told Nabal, yeah, we told him, didn't we? One of the young men was like,
don't want to mess with him.
I'm telling Abigail. No, I'm going to let her know what's going on. This one young man was smart. Go ahead.
Nabal's wife.
Because he knew that she had a good understanding. Go ahead.
Saying, behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master. And he railed on him.
He just railed on him. Keep going. Jump down to verse 18. Go ahead. So she, he railed on the situation to Abigail, like, hey, we tried to tell him, bring word about, hey, these people are just asking for some provisions, and he railed on them. And let's see what she did. Let's see her actions. Verse 18. Go ahead.
Then Abigail made haste.
She made haste. Go ahead.
And took 200 loaves.
And 200 loaves. Apparently they had some money. Go ahead.
And 2 bottles of wine. And 5 sheep ready dressed. And 5 measures of parched corn. And 100 clusters of raisins.
Go ahead.
And 200 cakes of figs.
And
laid them on asses.
So it's like she just got a whole bunch of stuff. You know how you go to Costco to get one thing, but all this other stuff, even got with you, she got a whole lot of stuff. I know. She is, I'm taking all this wholesale. Go ahead.
She said unto her servant, go on before me.
In other words, y'all hurry up. Y'all make it a little bit quicker. Go before me. Go ahead.
Behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal.
She said, I ain't telling nothing to this guy. Go ahead.
And it was so, as she rode on the ass, that she came down by the covert of the hill. And behold, David and his men came down against her.
So now they surrounded her. They came down against her. You listen to the verse?
No.
Finish it out.
And she met.
Yep, jump down to verse 23.
And when Abigail saw David, she hastened and lighted off the ass. And fell before David on her face. And bowed herself to the ground.
So the provision showed up before she did. That's why she said, go before me. But now when she shows up, now she's, how can I say, showing obeisance. Go ahead, hit verse 24.
And fell at his feet and said, upon me, my Lord, upon me let this iniquity be. And let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience, and hear the words of thine handmaid.
So she's jumping into action to defend the entire household. In other words, she's saying, look, let this offense be on me. Go ahead and hit is that, hit 25, 25.
Let not, my Lord, I pray thee,
right,
regard this man of Belial.
Don't, in other words, you know how look, don't worry about, my spouse or my child. They're just acting kind of wild right now, But she's not like really railing on her husband. She's just saying, look, he's got a couple problems. We know about it. Go ahead.
Even Nabal,
right?
Whereas his name is, right, so he is,
right?
Nabal is his name,
right?
And folly is with him.
Go ahead.
But I, thine handmaid, saw not the young man of my Lord, whom thou didst send.
In other words, it's not that we wouldn't help you; it's just that everybody didn't hear about it. Go ahead.
Now therefore, my Lord, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth.
Actually, jump down to verse 37. I'm sorry. No, jump down to verse 32, because David heard it. Verse 32. Go ahead.
And David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel,
right,
which sent thee this day to me,
right,
and blessed be thy advice.
Blessed be what?
Thy advice.
So sometimes they can give some great advice, because what does she do? She just like that great woman of that one city, the Abigail. They turned around. It was good. I don't care about no spider. This is the word of God. Blessed be thy advice. That's what we're focusing on. In other words, he said, look, you have to stop me from killing everybody, because I was going to take off anyone that pisses against the wall. All right, now jump to verse 37. Because Nabal finally heard about that situation, because this whole time, David wasn't really, how can I say, interested in her in that man, because this is some man's wife. But verse 37, go ahead.
But it came to pass in the morning,
right,
when the wine was going out of Nabal,
because he had a big feast. Go ahead.
And his wife had told him these things.
Go ahead.
That his heart died within him.
So he's having some kind of heart attack or something. Go ahead.
And he became as a stone.
But he didn't die right away. He became as a stone. Go ahead.
And he came to pass about 10 days after,
right,
that the Lord smote Nabal.
That the Lord smote him 10 days later. Go ahead.
That he died.
That he died. Jump down to verse 40.
And when the servants of David were come to Abigail, to Carmel,
right,
they spake unto her,
right,
saying, David sent us unto thee,
right,
to take thee to him to wife.
Hold up. David sent us unto you to take you unto him to do what?
Wife.
So apparently the way she was defending and protecting and, how can I say, standing tall for her household, that man had to say, man, I would like a wife like that. He can't say, I want her because she's already spoken for. But he said, I want a wife with those qualities. But when he found out, hold up, the Lord had took him out the game. Now he's like, y'all go and get her. He didn't even say go get all the stuff. He said, no, there's something more valuable than all that stuff. And it's her. It's Abigail. Go ahead.
Verse 41.
Go ahead.
And she arose and bowed herself on her face to the earth.
Right.
And said, Behold, let thine handmaid be a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord.
Keep going.
And Abigail hasted and arose and rode upon an ass.
I'm just satisfied just to wash his feet. In other words, she's just showing humility. Keep going.
With 5 damsels of hers that went after her. And she went after the messengers of David.
Right.
And became his wife.
And became his wife. That quick. So I'm just showing how she carried herself. David had to, how can I say, remember that. He had to say, okay, those are some qualities, those are some traits that will be beneficial to me. But at this time, he moved forward. But let's go ahead and go to Proverbs 31. I know a lot of people speak about it, and I didn't want that to be, that's not the entire tenet of this lesson, but we do need to hit Proverbs 31. I need you to hear the examples of the real people, and then we hit Proverbs 31, and then these are traits that are given by a particular individual for you to take notice of, right? I don't want to hit the traits, I want to hit the real people first. Then we can go back and hit the traits. Because the one that gives the traits for you to take notice of was a real person. And we'll find out who. Proverbs 31. When you get there, we're going to pick this up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read. Proverbs 31 and verse 1. Go ahead.
The words of King Lemuel.
The words of King who?
Lemuel.
Lemuel. You know who Lemuel is? Samuel. Samuel was a judge, but it's calling him a king because anytime you are judging or residing over the people, it's a position of royalty or power. So it's saying the words of King Lemuel or King Samuel, go ahead.
The prophecy that his mother taught him.
The prophecy that what?
His mother taught him.
His mother taught him. So we're about to, even though we're reading in the book of Proverbs, the book of Proverbs was written by the wisest man on earth, right? King Solomon knew when it's time to grab some, how can I say, reference or extra material from a wise woman. I'm going to put this in my wise writings, even though it came from a woman. Go ahead.
What, my son? And what, the son of my womb?
Go ahead.
And what, the son of my vows?
The son of my vows, because she vowed unto God that if she get a man child, that he would be all the days of his life went to the Lord. So she's speaking to Samuel, the son of her vows. Go ahead.
Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings.
In other words, she's saying, look, don't just go deal with anybody and everybody. Don't just, give your strength unto all women, you know what I'm saying? But go ahead and jump all the way down to verse 10, because she's about to give some of the tenets or some of the traits and characteristics for you to keep an eye on as far as who you should be looking for. Verse 10, go ahead.
Who can find a virtuous woman?
So you mean a virtuous woman has to be found? Because it's not just everywhere, right? You have to do some searching for this. Go ahead.
For her price is far above rubies.
What do you mean her price is far above rubies? That means that's how scarce it is. There's a lot of rubies on earth, but all those have to be found. But there's even less virtuous women that you still have to search out. Go ahead.
The heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her.
Right, go ahead.
So that he shall have no need of sport.
Right, in other words, what she's doing is always on his mind. Go ahead. In other words, she over there, okay, it's good, it's handled. Go ahead.
She would do him good,
right,
and not evil all the days of her life.
Keep going.
She seeketh wool,
right,
and flax,
right,
and worketh willingly with her hands.
Right. So she has things that she has things and policies, things that she can be dealing with also, and it's not a problem. Go ahead.
She is like the merchant's ships.
Right.
She bringeth her food from afar.
Right. Go ahead.
She riseth also while it is yet night. And giveth meat to her household.
So you still sleep, but she over here taking the meat out the freezer so it can thaw so you can eat the next day. So she can give meat to her household. Go ahead.
And a portion to her maid.
And a portion to, and she's also going to have some more set aside for some other people. So she's thinking about others, right? So that's why when we have the feast days, I'll be knocked out, but the kitchen be on fire. we cooking all kinds of stuff. But I'm showing that this is real. Go ahead.
She considereth a field.
She considers a field. Go ahead.
And buy it.
Hold on. She dealing with real estate? Hey, that vacant field over there, we could build a hotel over there. We could build some hospitals. We could invest here, invest there. So she's thinking about investing? Go ahead.
With the fruit of her hands, she planteth a vineyard.
Right, go ahead.
She girdeth her loins with strength. And strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good.
Right, she's not insecure. Go ahead.
Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle. And her hands holdeth the distaff.
Right, so she's putting in work is shown. Go ahead.
She stretcheth out her hand to the poor.
And she's giving out to the poor. Go ahead.
Yeah. She reacheth forth her hands to the needy.
Keep going.
She is not afraid of the snow for her household. For all her household are clothed with scarlet.
Right, I'm not worried about the weather because we've already made preparations ahead of time. So she's thinking about preparing a lot. Go ahead.
She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates. When he sitteth among the elders of the land.
Right. In other words, everyone knows who the husband is because they say, yeah, he's got a good one. He has a Proverbs 31 or a virtuous woman. Go ahead.
She maketh fine linen. And selleth them.
Right.
And delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing.
Right.
She shall rejoice in the time to come.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with having, like I said, nice clothing, but it's showing that strength and honor is her real covering. Go ahead.
She openeth her mouth with wisdom.
She opened her mouth with what?
Wisdom.
With wisdom. That's why it's always important to hear what they have to say. Go ahead.
And in her tongue.
Go ahead.
Is the law of kindness.
And that's the one law that a lot of brothers start forgetting about, right? We saw that one woman in Egypt have compassion, saying, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." The law of kindness is in her mouth. Go ahead.
She looketh well to the ways of her household.
She's looking out for the household. Isn't that what Abigail just did? Go ahead.
And eateth not the bread of idleness.
So she ain't just sitting around, but go ahead.
Her children arise up and call her blessed.
That's right, go ahead.
Her husband also.
Right.
And he praiseth her.
Right, because in many instances, the women are the glue for the family. All the children, in many cases, are running to the mother for something. Sometimes they run to the, to the dad every once in a while. But the man, when he comes home, who's he always dealing with? He's always dealing with the woman. In many cases, it may be for food, it may be for, for intimacy. But she is that glue for the whole family. So her children rise up to call her blessed. Here, verse 29.
Many daughters have done virtuously.
Right.
But thou sellest them all.
That's right. Keep going.
Favor is deceit.
And this is a good word. Favor that someone has at the moment is deceitful. Go ahead.
And beauty is vain.
And beauty is a bunch of vanity. In other words, that's not permanent. Go ahead.
But a woman that feareth the Lord.
But a woman that fears God, go ahead.
She shall be praised.
She shall be praised because the praise that she's receiving is not based upon her looks or her appearance. It's based on the character that has been molded and crafted by the word of God. Keep going.
Amen.
Give her of the fruit of her hands.
Give her what she deserves. Give her the fruit of her hands. Go ahead.
And let her own works.
Let her own works. Go ahead.
Praise her in the gates.
Exactly. That's why they turn around and say, one of the women that was resurrected, and they turn around and show all these things that she had sewed together, and they didn't even say nothing about her. They just showed what she did. Her own works praised her, and the Lord resurrected her in the New Testament. Because her own works gave her praise in the gates. Go ahead. Oh, that's in the 31? Okay, I'm sorry. I wanted some more of that. That's the end of it. Acts 16, I'm sorry. Acts 16. See another sister. I was like, man, that's good. I'm going to hear some more about this sister right here. Acts 16. Let's deal with the CEO, sister over here. Acts 16, verse 11. Let's deal with the CEO. When you get there, Acts 16, go ahead and pick up at verse 11. And this is Paul and Barnabas. They're going throughout, spread the gospel, so they run to different kinds of people. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Therefore, loosening from Troas, he came with a straight course to Samothracia. Right. And the next day to Neapolis.
Hit verse 12.
And from thence to Philippi.
So they're going from place to place to place. Keep going.
Which is the chief city of that part of Macedonia.
That's right, keep going.
And a colony. And we were in that city abiding certain days. And on the Sabbath.
And on the what?
On the Sabbath.
On the Sabbath, keep going.
We went out of the city by a riverside.
Right.
Where prayer was wont to be made. And we sat down and spake unto the woman which resorted thither.
Right, so we just find a place to chill out. A place that, a lot of times there's not a lot of services and nothing like that. We just find a place to cool out because it's the Sabbath. Go ahead, and we're speaking to the women that resorted thither. Go ahead, or there, in verse 14.
And a certain woman named Lydia.
A certain woman named Lydia, go ahead.
Seller of purple.
Oh, so she has her own company. She's a seller of purple. Go ahead.
Of the city of Thyatira. Which worshiped God.
Which did what?
Worship God.
She worshiped God. Go ahead.
Hers.
Right, so now she's paying attention to what they have to say. Go ahead.
Whose heart the Lord opened.
The Lord opened her heart. Go ahead.
That she attended unto the things which were spoken of Paul.
So she listened very carefully to what Paul had to say. Because the Lord opened her heart. In verse 15.
And when she was baptized,
because apparently she heard enough to believe, so she said, I'm going to jump into action and I'm going to get baptized and join part of the covenant. Go ahead.
And her household.
No, and her household. So apparently she had to have some conversation with the household to convince them of what Paul had to say was the truth. So I'm just showing that wisdom when she operated. I know it's condensed in a little verse, but you have to expound and see what all is going on in order for the whole household to jump on board. Go ahead.
She besought us, saying, if ye have judged me to be faithful to the Lord.
So she said, hey, if you judge me to be faithful, if I'm showing good works, go ahead.
Come into my house.
Spend some time with us. Go ahead.
And abide there.
And abide there.
And she constrained them.
And she what?
Constrained.
Now, do you think she went and put Paul and Barnabas in the headlock? No, that's that law of kindness that's in her mouth. Man, I can't disappoint this sister. I'll be there. I'll be there. Whatever you need, we're going to handle it. Because is that great woman in what 2 Kings, I think it was 2 Kings chapter 4, then she constrained Elisha?
Yes.
He's coming to get something to eat every once in a while. Next thing you know, he got a place to stay. He's laying his head there every once in a while. She constrained him to give her a blessing. And that came to pass. And showing that those small things, which are big things. Let's go to Luke chapter 2. Let's go to Luke chapter 2. Y'all getting something from this so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Like I said, a lot of times we hear these stories interwoven with other lessons and other stories, but I said, let's pull these and string these together. You know, because if you see this, if you really see this, then there's no reason why any women that are part of the Israel of God should ever be going through a bunch of striking, nonsense. There's always, like I said, there's life, but however, when you understand the value that they put on the table, then there should never be no problems. Luke chapter 2 and verse 36. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And there was one Hannah, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel, of the tribe of Asher.
So this is a sister from the tribe of Asher. Go ahead. Now by that time, that entire tribe was taken into captivity. But apparently one, made her way back. Go ahead.
She was of a great age.
She was of great age. Go ahead.
And had lived with a husband 7 years from her virginity. And she was a widow of about 84 years.
80. A score is 20. So about 84 years. Go ahead.
Which departed not from the temple. But served God with fastings.
Right.
And prayers night and day.
Now, of course, if her husband had passed, she could have went to be married, but she said, I'm going to focus on serving God. So, spent all that time around the temple, fasting and prayers. Go ahead, verse 38.
And she coming in that instant,
right,
gave thanks likewise unto the Lord.
Because Simeon had just gave thanks unto seeing, Jesus as his child, right? So she came in likewise and gave thanks unto the Lord. Go ahead.
And spake of him to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem.
So now is she standing in a pulpit? No, all the people that's looking for redemption, she's speaking about this child that just showed up from the tribe of Asher, right? Because when I read Exodus 19, it says, if you keep these commandments, then will thou be a priest unto me. But that priesthood that he was speaking about was just to men, only that was to men and women. So she was in her priesthood duties. Okay? That's the end of that. Let's keep going. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 3. 1 Kings chapter 3. Because I want to show some instances where some of these sisters pushed beyond some of their initial circumstances. 1 Kings chapter 3. And we're going to pick this up at verse 11. 1 Kings chapter 3 and verse 11. Because this is, Solomon just starting to reign, right? And he, the Lord pretty much said, hey, what do you want? Tell me what you want. What's your petition? And he asked for wisdom. And the Lord was glad that he asked for wisdom. And he's going to show the wisdom in which he started operating. 1 Kings chapter 3 and verse 11. When you get there, go ahead and read.
And God said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing,
right,
and hast not asked for thyself long life,
right,
neither hast asked riches for thyself,
right,
nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment.
Jump down to verse 15. So he gave him what he asked for because he was pleased with it. But verse 15, he's going to wake up.
And Solomon awoke,
right,
and behold, it was a dream,
right,
and he came to Jerusalem,
right,
and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord,
right,
and offered up burnt offerings, and offered peace offerings, and made a feast to all his servants. Then came there 2 women.
Right, now all of a sudden, things going well, but all of a sudden 2 women show up. Go ahead.
That were harlots.
So these were prostitutes. 2 prostitutes just showed up. Go ahead.
Unto the king. And stood before him.
In other words, they're standing before him to get some judgment in the matter. Go ahead.
And the one woman said, O my Lord,
right,
I and this woman dwell in one house.
Right.
And I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the 3rd day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also.
Right.
And we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house.
Right.
Save we 2 in the house.
It's just us 2 living there. Here, verse 19.
And this woman's child died in the night.
Right.
Because she overlaid it. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me. While thine handmaid slept.
Right.
And laid it in her bosom. And laid her dead child in my bosom.
So she gonna switch children on me. She gonna give me the dead child and she gonna hold the living child. Go ahead, verse 21, because there's no DNA test in these days. So this judgment is crucial. Go ahead.
And when I arose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son, which I did bear.
In other words, in the middle of the night, when I'm trying to nurse the child is dead, but as the sun rose, I'm like, hold on, this is not my child. Go ahead.
And the other woman said, nay, but the living is my son.
Right.
And the dead is thy son. And this said.
So she's disputing with that testimony. Go ahead.
And this said, no. But the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king.
Now how is he going to judge between this matter? Hit verse 23.
Then said the king.
Right.
The one saith, this is my son that liveth, and thy son is the dead. And the other saith, nay. But thy son is the dead, and my son is the living.
Go ahead.
And the king said, bring me a sword.
Give me a sword. Go ahead.
And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, divide the living child in two, and give half to the one and half to the other.
In other words, I'm going to inflict harm on this child so both y'all have a piece, both y'all have half a son. Go ahead. Of the living son. Go ahead.
Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king. For her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it.
In other words, she is showing actions to protect the child. Go ahead.
But the other said, let it be neither mine nor thine, but divide.
Oh, the one who had the dead child said, yeah, that's fine, because if my son died, then her child should die too. Go ahead.
Then the king answered and said, give her the living child.
Then the king said, no, the first woman that said, she can go ahead and have it. Just don't harm the child. He said, give her the child. Go ahead.
And in no wise slay it.
Right.
She is the mother thereof.
For she is the mother thereof. Now, what wisdom was he showing in this? He was showing that just because a woman is a circumstance as a harlot does not mean she does not have the ability to have love and compassion at the deepest levels. So who are we to cast judgment in some people that's in certain circumstances? We don't know. So he didn't say, oh, well, it doesn't matter to either of them because they just harlots. He said, no. Give it to this one. Because this is the real mother, is a real mother, regardless of her occupation, still has that mindset. Do y'all see that? Hit verse 28.
And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had judged. And they feared the king. For they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to do judgment.
They witnessed the wisdom of God. Let's take a look at Mark 14. I want to show another example. This one right here screamed at me. Mark 14. This could be a two-part lesson. I may have to hold this other part and give the other part to y'all a little later. But Mark 14, and pick up at verse 1. Listen very carefully to this. Because I want y'all to hear Jesus. Mark 14, verse 1, when you get there, go ahead and read.
After 2 days was the feast of the Passover.
Right, go ahead.
And of unleavened bread.
Right.
And the chief priests and the scribes saw how they might take him by craft and put him to death.
Right.
But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar of the people.
Right, so Jesus trying to keep the feast, but these people trying to kill him during the feast, but go ahead.
And being in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper,
right,
as he sat at meat, there came a woman having an alabaster box of ointment.
Right, so you have Jesus in the house, and everyone's relaxing during the feast, and then this woman shows up with an alabaster box of what?
Of ointment. Of spikenard. Very precious.
Go ahead.
And she break the box.
She break the box. You know how it says like on some walls, break in case of fire or whatever, saying for a fire extinguisher or for whatever you need to do. So she's breaking this because she sees that this is the time for it to be broken. Go ahead.
And poured it on his head.
And poured the oil on his head. Everyone eating it. Here comes this woman out of nowhere and just pouring oil on his head. But remember, the oil represents the anointing. She's anointing him like this is him. She knows who this is. Go ahead.
And there was some that had indignation within themselves.
Now, what they're really indignant about is that they not the ones being anointed. Are you going to anoint him and not me? Go ahead.
And said, why was this waste of the ointment made?
Right, they're not worried about the waste of the ointment because they didn't have to pay for it. She came and brought it herself. It says, why was this waste of the ointment made? Like you put it on. Go ahead.
For it might have been sold for more than 300 pence.
Man, it could have been sold for a whole lot of money. Go ahead.
And have been given to the poor.
Oh, because they were thinking about the poor. Go ahead, sure.
And they murmured against him. And Jesus said,
and what did Jesus say?
let her alone.
Leave her alone. This brother, you know what I'm saying, because he had hair like ours, right? So this brother dripping, you know, he got the curl going. Leave her alone. Go ahead.
Why trouble ye her?
Why are you giving her a bunch of trouble? Go ahead.
She hath wrought a good work.
She done some good stuff to me. Go ahead.
For ye have the poor with you always.
You always think about the poor. You got the poor with you always. Go ahead.
And whensoever ye will, ye may do them good.
And whenever you choose to, you can do good to the poor. Go ahead.
But me, ye have not always.
But me, you don't always have. Keep going.
She hath done what she could.
She has done what she could. Why you cast a judgment? This woman has done what she could. Go ahead.
She has come beforehand.
She come beforehand. Go ahead.
To anoint my body to the burial.
Because she knows what's about to happen to me. Leave her alone. Go ahead.
Verily I say unto you.
Say unto you, go ahead.
Wheresoever this gospel shall be preached.
Wheresoever this true gospel shall be preached, go ahead.
Throughout the whole world.
Throughout everywhere on earth, go ahead.
This also that she hath done shall be spoken of for a memorial of her.
They are also going to speak about what this woman did to me for a memorial of her, even though we don't know her name.
That's right.
Leave her alone. Now, Jesus can protect women. Why can't some of the brothers? Let's keep going. Let's go to, oh man, there's so much I want to hit in this. Let's go to Titus 2. Let's go to Titus 2. So much I want to hit in this lesson. But like I said, I can't keep y'all here all day. You know, back in the times of Elder Nehemiah, they said they would go throughout half the day reading the word. I can, you know, show y'all some more examples, but I'll have them up here if y'all want them. Okay? Titus chapter 2. Let's just do some in-house revisions. Titus chapter 2, when you get in the New Testament, you can pick it up at verse 3. Because now as new church is being set up, he's giving them the foundation, the basis to which, you know, they should continue moving forward on. Titus 2. In verse 3, when you get there, go ahead and read. Yeah, that's why you use the bookmarks. Go ahead.
The aged woman likewise.
Right.
That they be in behavior as becometh holiness. Not false accusers.
Right.
Not given to much wine.
Right.
Teachers of good things.
Teachers of good things. Go ahead.
That they may teach the young women to be sober.
So he's saying the older sisters should be able to teach some of the younger sisters some of the ways. Go ahead.
To love their husbands.
To do what?
To love their husbands.
That's right. Go ahead.
To love their children.
Go ahead.
To be discreet.
That's right.
Chaste. Keepers at home.
So you have, in other words, they have all this experience that they pass it down. Go ahead.
Good.
Right.
Obedient to their own husbands.
That's right. Keep going.
That the word of God be not blasphemed.
That the word of God be not blasphemed. And Paul speaks a lot about subjection, but let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 2 real quick. See, these are the kind of quicker ones versus all those examples where you have to walk down the entire story. I have to give you the context beforehand and the context after it. But these kind of hit a little bit quicker. 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 9. 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 9. When you get there, go ahead and read.
In like manner also.
Right.
That women adorn themselves in modest apparel.
Right.
With shamefacedness. And sobriety.
Right.
Not with broidered hair. Or gold. Or pearls.
Right.
Or costly array.
Now this is not saying you cannot get braided hair. This is not saying you cannot wear gold or pearls. We see people that have those hairstyles in the book. We see people, we saw the servant of Abraham put gold on Rebecca. You know, it's not saying that, but it's saying let not that be what you're all about. Let not the vanity of your outward appearance be everything about you. Go ahead.
But which becometh women professing godliness good works.
In other words, let your actions speak for you. Go ahead.
Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection.
Now, some people abuse this scripture. This is not saying that, oh, women have to shut up. No, it's just saying, look, when we come to class, let the women just go ahead and learn. You know what I'm saying? They're not supposed to be teaching, but let them go ahead and learn, though. Here, verse 12.
But I suffer not a woman to teach.
That's what he's speaking about. It's not. That's why when we have Q&A, we turn around and we ask the women what they think, what their questions are. But it's speaking about in regards to teaching. Go ahead.
Nor to usurp authority over the man.
Right.
But to be in silence.
That's all that's saying. But let's keep going. Let's go to Luke chapter 10. And I'm gonna have to speed it up and get us out of here. Luke chapter 10 and verse 38. Luke 10 and 38. Luke 10 and 38, when you get there, go ahead and read.
Now it came to pass, as they went, that he entered into a certain village. And a certain woman named Martha received him into her house.
Right.
And she had a sister called Mary.
Right.
Which also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word.
So Mary's just like, listen, like, man, I've never heard this before. Like, she's listening, consuming the word. Go ahead.
But Martha was cumbered about much serving.
In other words, but Martha's so caught up on like the serving part, she's not understanding like what this is a big opportunity for. Keep going.
And came to him.
Right.
And said,
right.
Lord, doest thou not care that my sister hath left me to serve alone?
So she's going to speak to Jesus. You don't care that my sister's not helping me? Go ahead. In other words, get a little petty over here. Go ahead.
Bid her therefore that she help me.
Tell her, bid her therefore that she help me. Go ahead.
And Jesus answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha.
Martha, Martha. Go ahead.
Thou art careful and troubled about many things.
Look, you got a lot on your mind. You're troubled about a whole lot of stuff, but go ahead.
But one thing is needful.
One thing is needful. Go ahead.
And Mary hath chosen that good part.
And she hath chosen the part that is needful. That's to hear the words to get everlasting life. Go ahead.
Which shall not be taken away from
Which shall not be taken away from. In other words, Jesus is saying, look, you see what the big mission is. Don't be caught with a bunch of bickering in these situations and circumstances, right? Now, is this written for our example? Yes. Because when we're focusing on being righteous, then we're focusing on the word, and that word helps retain our behavior, how can I say, in the best manner. In the best manner. But let's go ahead and jump to two more spots. Let's go to 2 Peter chapter 1. 2 Peter chapter 1, you have to cut quite a few out. It's all good. 2 Peter chapter 1. And let's pick this up at verse 2. 2 Peter chapter 1 and verse 2. When you get there, go ahead and read. Because I'm going to show you all at the beginning. I showed you some other examples. And I gave some examples of what he laid down for what the church should start exuding within the church. But let's go to 2 Peter chapter 1 and pick it up at verse 2. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Grace and peace be multiplied unto you.
Right.
Through the knowledge of God.
Right.
And of Jesus our Lord.
And of Jesus our Lord. Go ahead.
According as his divine power
right.
hath given unto us all things.
According unto his divine power has given unto us what? All things. Go ahead.
That pertain unto life and godliness.
Right.
Through the knowledge of him that hath called us. To glory and virtue. Whereby are given unto us.
Whereby are given unto us. Something has been given unto us. Go ahead.
Exceeding great and precious promises.
Exceeding great and precious promises. Go ahead.
That by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature.
And by these you might be partakers of the what? Divine nature. Divine is another way of saying God. Divinity. God nature, that you may be partakers, in other words, that you may become God. So the righteous women are going to end up becoming what? God also. At the first resurrection, or if they come up in the second resurrection, and they still get, how can I say, that they work speak for them. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews 11. Finish that verse, I'm sorry.
Having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust.
Exactly, because that's what everyone's trying to escape that. Hebrews 11. And let's pick this up at verse 11. Hebrews 11 and verse 11. So you have to remember what's on the table for them. And many of the people that are read in the book have a good report. They just have not partook of that nature yet. Right? Let's read it. just a couple individuals that's going to partake in that. Hebrews 11 and verse 11. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report.
They got a good report. Now it's up to verse 11 because he's walking down people that got a good report. Verse 11, go ahead.
Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed.
Right, that's Sarah, that's the wife of Abraham. Has strength, received strength to conceive seed. Go ahead.
And was delivered of a child when she was past age.
Right, go ahead.
Because she judged him faithful who had promised.
Because she judged the one that gave the promise faithful or able to execute in what he promised. Here, verse 12.
Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead. So many as the stars of the sky in multitude.
Did you hear that? Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, because he didn't have the ability to give children. Abraham didn't have the ability to have children, but that promise made it possible. Go ahead.
And as the sand which is by the seashore innumerable.
And the sand that's by the seashore. Let's jump to verse 31. All the way to 31. We saw Sarah real quick. 31, go ahead.
By faith the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not.
Exactly, because Jericho was taken down by Israelites, but Rahab did not perish. And even though she was a harlot, it had nothing to do with that, because she turned around and jumped on the right team. Go ahead.
When she had received the spies with peace.
When she had received the spies with peace. Let's go ahead. Let's see that. Verse 35. 35. Because it talks a lot about different people, verse 33 through 35, but I want to focus just on 35 because I'm focusing on the sisters. Verse 35.
Women received their dead raised to life again.
Didn't we see that? Go ahead.
And others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection.
Because it's all about getting a better resurrection. Jump to verse 40.
God having provided some better thing for us.
That's right.
That they without us should not be made perfect.
That they without us should not be made perfect. That perfectness or that perfection is talking about becoming part of the divine nature or becoming God. But let's finish it out in Galatians 3. And let's find out when that happens. Galatians 3. And we're going to pick this up at verse 27. Galatians 3 and 27. I hear this verse quoted a lot, but we're going to put it in proper context. Galatians 3 and verse 27, verse 27. Galatians 3 and verse 27. When you get there, go ahead and read.
For as many of you as have been baptized into Christ have put on Christ.
Right, go ahead.
There is neither Jew nor Greek.
Now there's neither Jew nor Greek. Go ahead. Now that doesn't mean that we don't still have people that are physically Jews, and we still have people that are physically Greeks, but go ahead.
There's neither bond nor free.
It doesn't matter whether you locked up or not. Go ahead.
There's neither male nor female.
Now that doesn't mean that we have done away with the genders like some people try to do today, because you still have male and female. You know, but he's saying this is about within Christ Jesus. Go ahead.
We are all one in Christ Jesus.
You are all one in Christ Jesus. And what time does that take place when there's no male nor female nor Jew nor Greek? That happens at the 8th day. This is the 6th day of the Feast of Tabernacles. Day 7 comes at sundown. And on the 8th day, that represents when the woman also is partaking of the divine nature that he set up for the man in the first place. Because their name was called Adam, like we read in Genesis chapter 5. So you have to remember that when it comes to righteous women, for the sisters, it's good to grow into one. For the older sisters that are already one, stay righteous. For the men, get one. For the ones that already have a righteous woman, appreciate one, and everyone needs to love one. I thank you for your time.